Ferdinand from Sri Lanka. I am presently at one of my good friends' residences with a lot of flowers around me and a beautiful environment, and with the hot climate, things are good for a good, we can say, climatically. I would like to speak today on the topic, the independence of the judiciary. This is a very interesting topic. One may ask the question, how does the judiciary become independent? It is said in political science that to make the judiciary independent, judges cannot be held responsible for the decisions they give. Or in other words, like a doctor, they cannot be brought to court for any decision that they give which may be detrimental. One can only go to a higher court and appeal if one is not satisfied with the decision given by the courts. But you cannot take a judge to the courts for giving a decision against you or a decision that is detrimental to you. So this is the way that the independence of the judiciary is what you call is got is sustained all over the world. Otherwise, you cannot what you call keep the independence of the judiciary, where judges are not responsible or cannot be held account for the judgments they give. But not so a doctor, where if a doctor makes a mistake, he can be sued in the courts, or he errs, not even he can be sued in a court of law. When one thinks of the judiciary, it's a very important place where human rights are protected. Because that's the last resort that people can go to, the judiciary. And it should be independent. And it can't be biased, and there cannot be any political influence. But nowhere in the world can you get a judiciary that is fully unbiased. Anyhow, some sort of political interference gets into it. For example, the Supreme Court of a country that has only the ability to interpret the constitution of a country. The constitution is the highest law, and all laws stem out from it. And one may say that the Supreme Court is the last court that a person can go to. Or there is no thing known as a super Supreme Court, where one can go and make a what you call an appeal. So one has to accept the verdict of the Supreme Court, like the late Supreme Court judge of the USA known as Marshall put it. The Supreme Court is the final judgment that one has to accept. And one may say that when one looks at the judiciary, the late Lalit Atulatmadali of Sri Lanka, who was Oxford Blue, in one of his lectures said the court is not a place, or the judiciary is not a place where laws are made. It's only a place where laws are interpreted or judgments given. So the judiciary is not there to make laws, but only to give decisions on laws or to interpret the law. But there have been instances where the judiciary has made laws, or in other words, gone to an extent of gone beyond their powers and made laws. For example, in Sri Lanka, there was a divorce case that came up in the courts where the husband said the marriage was not registered. But there was proof that the marriage had taken place in a Catholic church. So the judgment in the Supreme Court judges held the view that if a marriage is held in any form of religious worship place, that it is more binding than a marriage that is under a signature, and said that the marriage is legal and it cannot be what you call nullified, or it cannot be put aside. And that was the judgment given, and that judgment showed that the Supreme Court has what you call went beyond its powers and made a law, and what you call and up to today that law is, though it is unwritten, the judgment is there, and most of the cases coming after that person, judgments have been given according to that. So one can see the judiciary how important it is. There are times it oversteps its powers, but it's a very important place if human rights are to be what you call protected. It's an institution that should be protected fully. When one thinks of a government, it goes into three departments: the judiciary, the executive, and the parliament. So all these three units must work in one may say in what you call in common ground, or it must work in unison. They may have their different opinions, but when it comes to vital questions, they all must work in unison. That way only the country can run. And the judiciary, one may say, it is only for the people who have the economic resources. That is true. Because anywhere in the world, the people who don't have the economic resources, that they have to go to jail and have to face the consequences because they don't have the resources to get what you call adequate counsel or efficient counsel to protect them. So the judiciary, it's a very debatable question whether it is fair or not. And when one looks at the symbol of the judiciary, it is made with a what you call holding a weighing scale, and her face is covered with a veil. At times the veil is slowly moved aside and she may be slowly looking. And this is the time where one may say judgments are given, erred judgments are given. Or in other words, the judiciary has failed in its responsibility. So this shows what you call a clear picture of the judiciary. She is with a veil and with a weighing scale, which shows fairness to all, and which brings a lot of hope to a civilized society. And if a civilized society is to keep going, the judiciary should be protected with all its costs. Though it may have its failings, but still one has to make it work. Otherwise, modern society can't exist, or humanity cannot exist. With these words, I will close.